Let's get started. All right, everybody in the room, welcome to, and everybody on Zoom as well. Welcome to our September 28th Queen City Toastmasters meeting. I am your Sergeant at Arms, Jamie Richardson, and I now call the meeting to order. September 28th, today, fun fact, in 1920, the 8 baseball players from the Chicago White Sox were indicted on fixing the 1919 World Series. And Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of the greatest players of all time, was cut off in his prime. He's also the main character from Field of Dreams. If anyone has seen that movie, he's the one that comes out of the cornfield at the very beginning. And just keep that name in mind, because we'll use that in the theme as we move towards the meeting. We'll circle back to Shoeless Joe. With that, I'd like to start our meeting. I'll introduce our president, David Jones.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I am David Jones, president of Queen City, and we would like to start by welcoming our guests. And I'm going to start with our online guest, Brittany. Brittany, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us how you heard about Toastmasters and the information you might have?
Sure. So hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Excited to be here. I just moved to Charlotte this past year or so, actually kind of right at the start of the pandemic. So I've been looking for a chance to join one of these groups, really to just kind of sharpen my facilitation and presentation skills. I work for Korn Ferry. I'm a consultant in human capital and organizational strategy. So I'm excited to see what the meeting has to bring.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. We have a couple of people in person. I'd like to go out and meet. I believe it's pronounced Rama. Rama, how did you hear about us? You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, my name is Rama, and I come from Mooresville, North Carolina, quite a distance from here. I was introduced to Toastmasters, I was telling, several years ago at my workplace, but never bothered to set foot into that meeting hall. And about 3-4 years back, my boss mentor, introduced me to this Queen City. He was part of this Queen City Toastmasters, and he really encouraged me, go there, check it out for yourself. So it's my first day here.
Perfect. Thanks for coming. You came to the right place. And is it Lynn? Because your email says something else on it. So.
Okay. So I am Maudlin Green. I go by Lynn, so hence the 2 different names. I heard about the club. I just went on to Toastmaster.com, and I was telling everyone here that I'm not new to Toastmasters. I work for Bank of America, and we actually have a club. I went, signed up, joined a membership, gave a really good first speech, a really terrible second speech, and that scared me off, and I never went back. So I guess the thing I'll leave you guys with today is that I promise to come back no matter how bad or good my speeches are.
Great, thank you. And this is a place to do bad speeches because we're all in the same boat. So. And let's see, I want to introduce just a couple of people. You met our Sergeant of Arms already. We have quite a few board members out because it's, whatever. I guess it's not summer, but they're all out. But we got Elvis, who's our Vice President of Education. And whenever you join Toastmasters and you need to join the pathways, you go through Elvis, and he'll help you set up and get you into speaking and doing all that good stuff. And I believe that's it for the officers. We got our VP of membership back here, Ollie, who's talking to people. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the night, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. President. And good to see everyone again. So I am very, very excited to be the Toastmaster this evening. This is my first time doing it. So knock on wood, it goes well. And that actually, knocking on wood, is the theme for today's meeting. So you can call it a superstition, you can call it a ritual, you can call it a habit. But I bet some of you out in the audience also have some of those kinds of quirks. And the reality is you'd be in good company. There are elite athletes and actors and singers that all use these kinds of routines before they perform. I'll give you some examples. Michael Jordan, when he first joined the NBA, wore the same Chapel Hill basketball shorts under his Bulls uniform for every single game. And in fact, he had to ask the equipment manager to make his Bulls shorts longer so they would completely cover the Carolina blue. And thus he ushered in a brand new fashion trend of baggy shorts in the NBA and around the world. So just from a lucky charm. Chris Martin from the band Coldplay has to brush his teeth before he goes on stage for every show, or he just doesn't feel right. The actor Colin Farrell, which I'm not sure everybody knows, but he's relatively famous these days. He has a lucky belt that he has to wear for the first day of shooting on any movie that whatever his new movie is. And he actually spent $16,000 to have that belt returned to him when it went missing. So it just goes to show you the lengths that people will go to preserve their routines. So now I am curious if anyone in the audience or online in Zoom would be willing to share any superstitions that you have or pre-show rituals. Oh, we've got somebody. Will you please come up? I didn't catch your name. I think you just walked in.
Hi, my name is Harvey Tran.
Harvey.
Yes, I'm Harvey Tran, and that's my wife, Helen, in the back. Also, daughter Hannah. Please give them a hands of applause. In terms of superstition, before do pre-game ritual. Well, it has been a while since I came to Toastmaster. It's been about a year and a half. A lot of development in my life. So I recently started my second company, big healthcare company with a full board of director. Back then, I was very nervous, very shy whenever I come up to the stage. I did a lot of public speaking recently as well. One of the things that my ritual or superstition, so to speak, is that I love to drink whiskey. I drink every day, 2 hours before every speech, every board meeting. And it got my face a little bit red because I have the Asian gene and it cannot metabolize the alcohol as well, but just a little bit red. But it just got my fire going. That's superstition. If I don't drink my whiskey, I don't speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey. I love that one. And I actually will start using that immediately. Well, and Harvey, you're in good company. And you're on to something actually, right? So it's a good question, right? Why do these elite athletes, these folks that have been on the court 1,000 times or been on stage 1,000 times, feel the need to resort to these mental tricks, right? To feel comfortable doing something that they otherwise are very good at. And it's not silly, it's science. So researchers showed in 2006 and again in 2010 that top athletes that use these kinds of routines, that do so, they get benefits in terms of a more control over their emotions, as well as a boost in self-confidence that directly drive performance benefits and outcomes. It's not unlike what many of us do when we get ready to do public speaking or other activities like that, where we're a bit nervous about it. We go through deep breaths, we try to collect ourselves, we use mental or thought exercises to try to collect ourselves and focus. So that's the theme for today's meeting. I hope folks can find ways to infuse that into the discussion. I'd now like to get started and introduce some of my facilitators for this evening, and I'll start with our grammarian, Jenny.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jamie. I am tonight's grammarian. My name is Jenny, and my role is to keep track of filler words like so, well, but, you know, and the word of the day has been said so many times already, which is great, is ritual. And just to read out the definition, ritual is a routine or habit a performer, athlete, or professional does to enhance the performance and get their mindset right and beat the nerves. So we've already been using the word so frequently in just the first 5 minutes of this evening. So I hope that everybody, I encourage you to use the word as well, because you get some extra bonus points, and that is what I'll be keeping track of. And back over to Jamie.
All right, and now, thank you, Jenny. I would now also like to introduce our timer, Julian.
Good evening, members and guests. I'll be your timer tonight. That includes timing all prepared speeches, impromptu table topics, and also the evaluations. So you have a 30-second grace period at the beginning of the speech. And except for table topics where you need to reach 1 minute, except guests, we waive that because we want you to participate. So don't worry about that. And then prepared speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, table topics 1 to 2 minutes, and then evaluations 2 to 3 minutes. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Julian. All right, now on to the main event, our prepared speeches. Our first speaker, you've already been introduced to, is Ali Tobin. He is the VP of Membership. He is working on his level 4 Motivate Pathways, and the speech is titled The 120 Conference. I think I got that right? All right, please join me in welcoming Ali.
Thank you. How you guys doing tonight? Come on. If I say how you guys doing tonight, I need to hear like some more energy. So I'm just gonna ask the question again. How you guys doing tonight? There we go. See, this man came up here with energy. I like that because I'm an energy person. So 120 conference. As you can tell, I have the shirt on. Atlanta 120. 120 till the day I die. As you can tell. So I recently went to the 120 conference in Atlanta. Have any of you ever heard of Eric Thomas? Show of hands. One person's heard of Eric Thomas. That's it. He's the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Better than Tony Robbins, David. Better than Tony Robbins. Now, I like Tony Robbins, but I just prefer Eric Thomas. He's my guy. But so how I learned about Eric Thomas, 2012, this video came out, and I want all you guys to look it up. It's called If You Want to Succeed as Bad as You Want to Breathe. And that video kind of blew him up. He got millions of views. And I believe that's how he got as big as he was. And once I saw that video, it caught my eye, and I just been following him ever since. So 2012, I think I was like in the 9th, 10th grade. So it's been like almost 12 years since I've been following him and following his message. So when I saw that he was going to be in Atlanta and there was going to be a conference, I was like, I'm going to it. So I'm going to tell you why I went to the conference. I went to the conference because I said, you know what? I want to go network, be around like-minded individuals who are in the field that I want to be in, who are all trying to achieve the same thing. Number 2, I want to go get the system. I want to learn the system that this man has been using to be successful. And if you know what system stands for, it stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. So I'm like, what is the system that this guy is doing? And I want to learn that. And so I also wanted to go there to just experience that type of surrounding, because I've never been to a conference on that level where it was like 1,000+ people, like just like me, that are crazy in the head. I've been to small stuff like this, but not 1,000+ people. So I told myself when the tickets first came, I looked at the price and I said, debit card, swipe. Hotel, pay for it. And I was telling a couple of my friends, I was like, dude, I'm going to this conference. And, I had a couple of my friends, they said, why would you want to go to that conference? It was like, what are you going to get from there? Keep in mind, these are the same people who pay BMW and Mercedes $500 every month. I'm like, dude, you paying BMW and Mercedes $500 every month, but you won't invest money into yourselves. So, the most important investment you can ever make is within yourself, not into some luxury item that's not going to better your life. It's going to make you feel good, but is it really helping your self-development out? So #1 investment you can ever make is within yourself. So now I want to get to the conference. So I showed up on Friday. I drove about 3-4 hours to Atlanta, went by myself, drove about 3-4 hours to Atlanta, got to the hotel. And to be honest, guys, I was shocked. I told you, I've never been to a conference on that type of level. I was shocked. I'm like, this many people in the world are all coming together for one event to hear this message to better their lives. I'm like, I'm meeting people, I'm networking with people, multiple people, different stories, people who are entrepreneurs, people who work at the bank, people who literally have nothing, people who just want to come figure out a way to better their lives. I'm like, my God, I didn't know that it was like, I really did not know that it was this many people in the world who are basically all trying to achieve the same thing, to be at the same venue, because I've never been to something on this level. So the first day is Friday. So I showed up at the conference. The conference didn't start till Saturday, and it started from 9 o'clock, and then it was supposed to end at 5 o'clock. So I showed downstairs. It was around 7 o'clock. I got my VIP platinum ticket around my wrist, but they can know that I paid for the full experience. I came for the full experience. And when I went into conference, I'm looking around like, my God, it's 1,000+ people. Like, Lord have mercy, it's 1,000+ people. And the first person that came up to speak, and I'm about to mess his name up because I don't know this guy's name. I didn't know I know who he was, but I don't know him like that. His name's like Jesse Itzler. His wife made that company like Spanx, or you guys know what I'm talking about? I know she's a billionaire because I looked her up. All right. And he's telling his story. And I'm just like, this guy's telling his story, but basically what he's telling everybody in his story, he was like, you know, never giving up on your dreams, being a hustler, you know, walking out on faith, believing in who you are and what you're meant to be, having a mission in your life. And I'm just listening to a story and it's just like, it's hitting me. And then Eric Thomas came up. And when Eric Thomas came up, I said, I understand why this guy is the #1 motivational speaker in the world. I was like, his energy. I was like, this guy got energy. This guy knows how to basically motivate people. I said, I understand why this guy is the #1 motivational speaker in the world. And so there was a bunch of speakers. There was Jamal King, CJ, Eric Thomas. There was a bunch of speakers, but they all had one message within their speak. And it was be demanding. It was be demanding. Now, does anybody know what be demanding is? Anybody? Come on, I know one person got to know here what being demanding is. Like, be demanding? Yeah, be demanding. So like whatever you want in life, like be demanding of what you want. So like if you see something, go after it and go get it. Like nobody's going to save you. You got to save yourself. Like if you want something in life, you need to go get it. And you need to know that whatever you want, he wanted too. So you got to be willing to do something that he's not willing to do. Outwork him. You got to be demanding of what you want because we all got the same, for the most part, a lot of people have the same dreams and goals. What's going to separate me from that other person? What's going to separate me? I got to bring something to the table that they don't have. I got to do something that they can't do. So you have to be demanding of your life. And that's the message that I want to bring to you guys today is like, be demanding. So we're all here at Toastmasters to better ourselves because we want to be demanding of our lives. But the most important thing is you could be a Toastmasters, you can come as a guest, you can come, you can pay, you can come to every Toastmaster meetings. But when you leave this door, if you don't apply none of this stuff, wasting your time. You need to apply everything you learn here and apply it to your real life. Yeah, I went to a conference. I paid a lot of money. I met some people. They motivated me. I was hyped up. I'm still hyped up. You know, it's been a couple of days. I can't sleep at night because this stuff is still running through my brain. But I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to waste the information that they gave me, the blueprint that they gave me. I'm going to apply this to my life. I'm going to utilize this information. I'm going to do everything I can to make this stuff happen. And a lot of times people get caught up. They go to these conferences. They join these clubs. They get in these organizations. But they don't really do anything with the information. So my message to you guys is to be demanding of your life. When you leave here today, apply everything that you learned. If you go to a conference and you invest in yourself, utilize the information and apply it every single day to your life. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ollie. Wow, powerful comments. I love the energy. And be demanding? Yes, I can take that message to heart. All right, we now have our second speaker, which is Bailey. Beatty? I'm afraid I don't know how to, I got it right the first time? Beatty, all right. All right, so Bailey is giving us a speech from her presentation mastery pathway. And the title of the speech is Why Fall is the Best Season of the Year. Over to you, Bailey.
Thanks, Mr. Toastmaster. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. Again, my name is Bailey Beatty, and I will be talking about why I feel fall is the best season of the year. So by a show of hands, how many of you all enjoy the season of fall? Wow, a lot of y'all. Okay. Can I get any volunteers to explain why it's one of their favorites? Avinash?
We have one.
Yeah, it's because of the colors. You go out, you see a lot of colors, and it's so vibrant. And the fact also the temperature, you go outside, the temperature really pleasant. So I would say these are the reasons I like this fall and spring better than summer and winter. Yeah.
Me too. It's one of my favorites. Definitely the colors are just so breathtaking, and the weather just makes you want to be outside. Anybody else? I think there was someone. Oh yeah, Brittany.
I love fall just because it's the change of everything, and it's all of the rituals that come with it. So all of the pumpkin spice that comes with it, the cozy sweaters, just cozying up with the beautiful colors outside.
Awesome. Yes, I have to agree. I love getting all cozy and by a fire and just enjoying the weather. But thank you for all your participation. One of my favorite things about fall is just the overall memories that have taken place in the fall. I think back to when I was a kid, and on Saturday mornings, I would get up, turn on Looney Tunes, eat my waffles, get ready for my soccer games, and then play outside until it got dark out. I mean, I would play with the neighborhood kids until the front porch light came on. We played games from soccer to capture the flag to basketball, you name it. We just had such a great time. And when fall comes around, I reminisce on those times as a kid, and it makes me wish that I was a kid again at times. But definitely fall has a good place in my heart. Some other reasons why I feel like fall is just so unique is what we've touched on earlier by some comments about the weather, just how it's not too hot, not too cold. The sun warms your soul. It's just so great to be out and about. I know we all have sort of experienced the last couple days about this nice weather, and just enjoying it as much as we can is just such a great time to be out and about. But with that, you also have the leaves changing, as Avinash alluded to, and it's just so breathtaking to see those colors change from red, green, or red, orange, and yellow. And I have to recommend, if you ever get to go to Asheville or the mountains, just to go out there, and just, it's so breathtaking. I really highly recommend it. It's just one of a kind, and what makes fall so unique. Other than the weather, you have to have the warm clothing, the fall attire, which is my favorite. I'm so excited to get that out and about from my closet. And you have the sweaters, the boots, the hats, just all comfy clothes that keep you warm during the cooler season. And then you can't forget about the food. The food and drinks are the best. You know, it's not fall until you hear about pumpkin spice something, when it's out in stores and retail places. And so I think of that, and then I think about apples and apple pie and just all the yummy foods you have during Thanksgiving. I know one of my rituals with my parents is to make the loaded mashed potatoes, which are my absolute favorite. And I'm sure you all have your own food that you enjoy during the holidays, especially around Thanksgiving. And it just brings great camaraderie with family and friends, and again, creates rituals and memories that you'll last for a lifetime. And speaking of food, outfits, and weather, I think you can't forget about just gathering with family and friends. It all sort of comes together. I think about football. Football is one of my favorite times of the year. And there's nothing like getting together around the TV, screaming at the TV, cheering your team on, eating wings and pizza. And it's something that I always will cherish from today and even in my past. But you also have your holidays. From Halloween, you have corn mazes to haunted houses to dressing up as whatever you want to be on the one Halloween day. I know my favorite was dressing up as Cruella de Vil. My dog is half Dalmatian, and so getting to dress up with him, it just makes it really special, and something that I'll always remember. And then you have Thanksgiving, which you get to stuff your face with turkey and apple pie, and again, create memories that you'll be with friends and family. But I think it also comes back to just reminiscing on and reflecting on what you're grateful for, especially with your family and friends, and just how the year has panned out and how you sort of can get prepared for the new year. So from weather, outfits, food, and gathering with family and friends, those are the reasons why I feel like fall is one of the best times of the year. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, thank you, Bailey. Now I just want to cozy up in front of the fire. All right. I would love to get a timers report if I can real quick, Julian, on the speakers. Yeah, just real quick.
Ali, I had you at 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Bailey, I had you at 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So you both qualified.
All right. Well, thank you to both of our speakers. Again, energizing comments. I love both speeches. So rituals, right? We talked about the benefits that they can provide as you think about centering yourself. They can also potentially become problematic if you become too dependent on them. Keith Richards is the guitarist for the Rolling Stones. He is famous for eating a shepherd's pie before every single show. Now, what has to happen though, is the crust cannot be broken at all because Keith has to break the crust on the pie. He has to be the first person to do that. And in at least one instance, one of the concerts was several hours delayed because Keith got a broken pie. So our next session is the table topics. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to learn from that lesson, to practice being centered and be in control of our emotions, even when everything doesn't go to script. So I'd like to introduce our table topics facilitator, John Capello.
Thank you, Toastmaster, Toastmasters and guests. My name is John Capello, and it's my absolute pleasure to serve as your table topics master. Now, in keeping with Toastmaster Jamie's pre-game ritual, I'm going to share a little story, and it dates back to when I was 6 years old, right around Halloween time, which happens to be fairly timely at the moment. Turns out I was scared of the dark, perhaps more afraid of what was in the dark. And my father wanted me to go upstairs and get ready for bed. And I didn't want to go. He said, I got a way for you to sort your problem. Why don't you go put on that Superman Halloween costume that I bought you? Superheroes aren't afraid of monsters. Sounds like a good idea. I put it on and I was certainly feeling better about myself. But I still had this strange pit in my stomach. Dad, I don't feel good. I have something in my stomach. He said, oh, that's just your superpowers about ready to kick in. You got to be able to leap tall buildings, run faster than the speeding bullet. Now I felt empowered. I'm going straight upstairs. And I deliberately don't turn on the lights. And I just sit there and growl for like 2 straight minutes. I come running back down after nothing happens. My father says, well, what happened, John? I said, nothing. He said, exactly. Now, don't you feel better? And I said, you know what? I feel great. I felt like a true superhero. So a lot of times in current life, whether I'm giving a sales presentation, an interview, a speech, I start getting that nervous energy. I start to tap my own superhero powers and try to turn nervous energy into positive energy and maybe have an impact on the world around me. You see what I just did there? I used a story. And that's what we're going to do tonight for table topics, our impromptu section of the meeting. You're going to incorporate a story into a question you're going to answer the question by using a story that I'm going to give you the question. You're going to use it with a story. Now, why do we use stories? I'll tell you plain and simple. Stories work. They are effective forms of communication. Stories make you memorable. You're not going to remember my name 2 weeks from now. You're going to remember that when I was 6 years old, I liked to dress up like Superman. Maybe I still do. Who knows? They make yourself more relatable, more personable. After all, as a speaker, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to connect, even if it's just one person. So now you might say to yourself, do I have a story? All of you have a story. All of us are either going through something, about to go through something, or just got done going through something. So everyone has a story. It's just, do you have the courage to share it? Now, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and encourage people to volunteer by saying that the first question is the easiest. Now, who would like to start? Harvey, right? Yes. Harvey, come on up.
Thank you.
So I told you the first one was the easiest, and in fact it is. It's not even a question. Tell me one of the stories, something that's impacted you, something that, whether it's a tragedy, maybe it was a victory, or something you succeeded at, hard work, perseverance, whatever it is, just tell us a story, 1 to 2 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, John. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm honored to be here, fellow Toastmaster and also guest. So I'll start with my story. So my background is as a physician, and as an MD, you would think, do you guys think that an MD would be rich or poor? Rich, right? So my story is a little bit different from that. Before I got married to my wife, I grew up in a military family. My father, he's a very, very strong alpha male. He's a short little guy, but when he first came to the country, he was robbed at gunpoint by 2 young men, 2 thugs. He disarmed both of them. Bullet grazed his face, but he took care of all of them. He put them down, and then the police came and took them away. Anyhow, that's the family that I grew up in. So I was never passionate about clinical medicine, but my family wanted me to become a doctor. Since I'm the youngest guy, turned out to be I'm the guy that hates school, hates studying, would never be the kind of guy that loved to show up from class. So I skipped most of my class, but since my dad volunteered me, that's it. We need a doctor in the family, you. So I went to medical school. I put in more than 10 years for my mom and dad. Didn't like it at all. Become a very different doctor. My story as a doctor is a very poor one. When I got married to my wife 3 years ago, and we live in a small bedroom, 1-bedroom apartment that was full of roaches, and I walked with my wife. She asked me, "Hey, Daddy, why is the other doctor are so rich, but you are so poor?" At that point, and when we start to have our kid, I made a determination that, hey, listen, I'm gonna make sure that my wife know that she's not she's not having a doctor, but someone who's going to break all boundary. And then I started my company, first company, break out my shell, learn Toastmaster, and made it happen. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Harvey. So you could think of, let's say I did ask a question. What if I were to have asked, define what rich means to you, Harvey? And then you could have gone right into that story. I like to use the answer a question with a story in an interview. It works great. Think of 3 great stories about yourself, and I would argue you could use any of those stories to answer a question and be on point and be prepared. Can we have another volunteer? Anyone? Just a story, something that impacted your life. I promise you the question will be very open-ended. Too bad Ali already told a story about his conference. Eric, come on. Okay, Eric, very simple question. What makes you afraid? What makes you afraid? Remember, we're not looking for a thing, looking for a statement. 1 to 2 minutes.
So that's a great question. Probably the thing that makes me the most afraid is when people really can see right through me, and I think that they know what makes me afraid. So maybe the best example I can give you is joining Toastmasters and getting involved in public speaking. And when I started looking around at things that I wanted to do to improve my own skill set of speaking in front of people and improve my leadership skills, I was drawn to Toastmasters, but at the same time, I had this tremendous fear of walking into a room and really not knowing anything about what to expect. And the first time I came here was last week, and I was driving in my car. I had my GPS telling me where to go. I'd never been to this church. And I remember driving into the parking lot and driving around the building and getting here early and sitting in my car outside of that door. And I was looking at that white door just last week, thinking to myself, should I walk in or should I drive away? And I sat there for a few minutes, and the only answer in my mind was, you have to walk through that door. If you do not walk through that door, you will probably never have the same opportunity you've ever had in your life. So I walked through the white door, and here I am.
What do stories also do? They inspire. That's inspiring. That's why we're all here. We're trying to communicate with impact. Stories do that. Stories are effective communication tools. They work. They're memorable. Can we get any other volunteers? Lynn, all right, come on up. Okay. Lynn, my question for you is this, very open. Okay. Have you ever laughed at yourself? Now notice we're not looking for the question, because that could be answered pretty simply with a yes. What we're looking for, perhaps an embarrassing moment, something you'd be willing to share that allows you to be able to laugh at yourself. 1 to 2 minutes, just a story about yourself.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. I'm Lynn. First timer, so go easy on me. I grew up in Liberia, West Africa, and moved to this country as a teenager. So one of the things about coming here is I've always spoken English my whole life, but certain words mean different things there, right? So, for example, well, I can't think of a quick example now because I would give away my story, but the story that made me laugh at myself was recently I wanted to go to a seafood boil restaurant, right? And they have the seafood in the bag. So I walk into the restaurant and I ordered a pound of crawfish. So to my surprise, I come back, well, I order a pound of shrimp, I'm sorry. And then I get crawfish. And in Liberia, crawfish means shrimp. So it's vice versa. So I sat in my car, took my food, and just laughed at myself because I've been in this country now for 15 years. And here I am 15 years later, still mixing up shrimp and crawfish. That's my story.
Lynn, thank you. And I think when we're able to laugh at ourselves, we can extend that even further, is that you don't take life so seriously. And I think that's also an important lesson as you're going through Toastmasters. This is a practice zone. Don't take things so seriously. We promise the next time you come here and you give your next speech that it will be a pleasurable experience. We hope you join. I think we have time for one more. Would anyone else like to volunteer? This is storytelling time. This is a safe zone. Anyone? Rama? I kind of volunteered you on that, didn't I? I'll make it easy, bro. My question for you, Rama. How do you respond to failure? We're all going to fail in here at some point. I probably failed to not properly watch my grammarian and use the word so too often. How are you, or have you in the past? I'm not looking for a how, really looking more for a story where you have failed. How you respond? 1 to 2 minutes. Okay.
Hi, my name is Rama. And that's a great question. And I fight with that every single day. I do mountain biking. I do it in Lake Norman, George Poston, you name, I just take my bike and I love to do mountain bike. The first year I started, I fell off the bike. I hurt my Achilles tendon on my right foot. It was terrible. I was just all fired up. It was done. I felt it was all, it is it, that is it. I'm doomed. I can never do it. And then I really do a lot of pep talk to myself that you can do it. I do that a lot while I'm driving in the car or I'm taking a walk. I put this, we call these headsets and talk to myself so others don't think I'm really crazy or something, right? So I keep talking to myself. I say, you can do it. This is just one phase of it. This too will pass. I keep saying that to myself a lot, day in, day out. And it took 8 months for me to recover. And I could have stopped it, but then I went and bought a even better mountain bike, and I just go crazy. 2-3 years past that, every summer, you know where to find me on the weekends. Thank you.
Rama, thank you. I think there's a saying, there's no such real thing as failure. The only failure is the failure to try. So you did that, and thank you for coming here tonight. Okay, with that said, I think I'd like to call for a timers report. Toastmaster Julian, correct? We had Harvey, Eric, Lynn, and Ron.
All right, quick timers report. Harvey, you did 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Great job, you qualified. Eric, you were at 1 minute 15 seconds, you qualified. Lynn, you were right at 1 minute, so I'm gonna call it 1 minute and you qualified. And then Rama, you were at 1 minute 19 seconds, you also qualified.
Thank you, Toastmaster Julian, and thank you for all who have participated. Thank you for all who have listened, and I look forward to more conversations with everyone here. Toastmaster Jamie, back to you, sir.
Thank you, John, and thank you to all of our Table Topics volunteers. What a great session. I actually loved those comments. And I will take some credit for it as Toastmaster that we had such a great Table Topics session. Let me make sure I'm on camera again. There we go. All right. So one other superstition. Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players on the planet, maybe of all time, has also one of the greatest superstitions of all time. So every time Serena goes into a tennis tournament, she wears the same pair of socks, unwashed, for the entire tournament, as long as she makes it. That could be up to 7 matches over 2 weeks. So it just goes to show you the lengths, right, that even elite athletes will go to stay in the zone. We're now at our evaluator portion of the meeting. So I would like to recognize our general evaluator, Avinash Singh, to facilitate this part of the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Jamie. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and respected guests. My name is Avinash Singh, and I'll be conducting the general evaluation section of the meeting, today's meeting. I'll be assisted by speech evaluators, timer, and grammarian. And at the end of it, I'll give my overall evaluation of today's meeting. So let me first welcome Alvis Lopez, who's going to evaluate the first speech by Ali Tobin. Alvis, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Ali, thank you again for another wonderful speech. It was very inspirational, very motivational, and with a lot of energy, as usual, in your speeches. And I would say I liked the way you managed the whole speech with a lot of energy. You kept the audience engaged since the beginning. You started with a question and waiting for the participation and the answering of the audience. So you kept us engaged since the beginning. And that went in a very sequence or instrumented sequence of events that helped your storytelling by letting us know about why you went into that event that you attended, the people that you were expecting to see there, and also you went over a couple of learnings that you acquired during the event. It was a very, very natural storytelling speech and technique. And it helped me understand since the beginning, your motivation, and actually what you learned and why you did it. I like all of the learnings during the process and some of the quotes and some of the positive learnings in your experience, such as we have to invest in ourselves. If you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, which is something that you took from the first speaker that you wanted to follow as part of the main event. And I would say in your delivery, the way you were doing it, there was a very good management of gestures, your body language, your hands, your coordination, your movements were actually very well instrumented. Now, one of the things that I would say as a way for you to introduce as an improvement is actually introducing some pause or changing the pace a little bit, because it went really very energized since the beginning and it ended with a lot of energy. But it would be even more impactful and more helpful for us to follow if you at some point can introduce some pauses, what we call uncomfortable pauses. And they don't have to be too long, but you just stop and continue, and that helps also for us to digest some of the ideas that you are sharing. I like the way you introduce the call to action also at the end and summarize your experience. All in all, very good job, great speech and delivery, and I look forward to your next one. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Elvis. As always, pleasure to listen your evaluation. Now help me welcome our second evaluator for today, David Jones. Over to you, David.
Thank you. And before I start the timer, I just wanted to, he came in a little bit late, but Harvey, John was talking about storytelling. And storytelling is a big part of public speaking. And as soon as I saw Harvey, I remembered two speeches. I think he was a member a year and a half or so ago. And he gave a speech about, I think he was up on he thought he heard somebody break into the house and he was up on the stairs with a bat or something. And then he gave another speech about, I think his wedding, and he brought his wife up and he was very vulnerable. And those are two speeches from him from years ago, and they're still stuck in my mind because they're so passionate. So that's why storytelling is so important. And welcome back, Harvey. So I appreciate having you here because you're a great speaker. Now, Bailey, I'm ready. Bailey, you gave a great speech as always. It's always enjoyable to hear you. You start right off from the beginning about engaging the audience, asking questions, and having them answer and be a part of the participation of your speech. You know, it's not just you talking, it's others talking. You kind of have to time yourself because you don't know how long somebody's going to talk for. So you have to kind of anticipate that into your speech. Everything you did was good. Your pace, your tones, everything was going good. I did notice, and unfortunately, it's a little bit different on Zoom than it is in person, but we have you on the big screen. So we can see your eye movement. We can see when you're looking at your notes. And you didn't look at them a lot, but we did notice when you looked at your notes. And it was very minimal because you were so into your story. You were thinking about your cartoons. You were thinking about the leaves falling. So you knew you were thinking about the story. You weren't reading it. You weren't looking at your notes as much. You just kind of glance at them as an outline. Now, the only thing that I would challenge you for would maybe do a hat or a prop or something like that, because you're talking about Halloween, you're talking about your dog, you're talking about something where that could have added a little value to your speech if you were able to do that. And finally, the one thing I like best about you, Bailey, is your smile. It's whenever we're looking at you, whenever you're talking, you're always smiling, and it makes us all feel great. And I look forward to your next speech. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, David. Thanks for such an in-depth review of this speech. Now I'll move to the next section of the general evaluation. I'll request Timer to give the timer's report. I think you are talking on mute, Julian.
Sorry about that. So this is my last timers report for the evaluations. Elvis, you were at 3 minutes, 39 seconds. You were slightly over. David, you were at 1 minute, 34 seconds. You were under, so neither qualified. Sorry about that.
Great. Thank you for the timer's report, Julian. Now I'll conduct the ritual of providing overall evaluation of the meeting. So today I joined meeting at 6:17, and when I logged in, I could see almost everybody except one or two participants, which is not usual. So I really like that. Good to see so many participants joining before time. As we are in hybrid mode, it requires double the preparation. So David, I want to thank you for taking effort every week, reaching to the club on time and making sure everything is arranged before the meeting. A big thank you for that. I particularly like the date fact that you shared, Jamie. In fact, throughout your speeches, you were sharing a lot of facts about like date and superstition, everything. To be honest, to me, everything was new, and I learned all of that today. So thank you for that. And whatever I have seen so far in your speeches, to me, it looks like you have a knack of sharing facts. I saw that in your previous speeches as well in the past meetings. So good to have you there. David, like as always, you gave a chance to our guests to speak at the beginning of the meeting. It made them feel comfortable. So thank you for that. Excellent introduction to today's theme, Jamie. I like the theme particularly. And like I said earlier, there were examples throughout the speech, and those were really something that I learned today. All the role bearers in the meeting, they explained their roles very well. Motivational speech by you, Ellie. And I think after this meeting, I'm going to go Google about Eric Thomas because I didn't hear about him. Bailey, you did an excellent speech, and I think David gave the excellent feedback on that. Overall, excellent job done there. And John Capello, you did complete justice to the table topics. And I want to thank everybody who contributed to our table topic speeches. Excellent contribution by everyone. I think overall, a great meeting. Everybody contributed, and thanks to everyone for their contribution. So that's my overall feedback for today's meeting. As a next section for the general evaluation, I'll move to the next section, which is, I'll request grammarian to share today's grammarian's report. I think you are talking on mute.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. So for the grammarian's report, Julian had 1 Ollie had 1 2 you knows, 14 likes, and 14 so's. But you're so like dynamic when you're giving it, so it's so nice. And I just said so 5 times. So I wasn't keeping tab on myself. Bailey, 2 used the word of the day twice. 1 1 you know, and 4 so's. John used the word of the day once and had 4 so's. Harvey, 2 so's. Eric, 3 ums and 1 so. Lynn, 3 ums and 4 so's. Rama, just 1 so. Elvis just recorded 1 so. Avinash, 1 and 1 so. David only picked up 1 so. And then Jamie, you used the word of the day so much in the beginning, and I wasn't recording until I introduced the word of the day, but post when I introduced, I recorded at least 3 times. 1 and 7 so's. That's it. Pass it back over to you, Avinash. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Great evaluation. So with this, I come to the end of general evaluation section of the meeting. I'll pass the baton back to our Toastmaster, Jamie.
Right, one more thank you for our evaluators. Come off mute. All right, thank you, Avinash, and thank you to Elvis and David as always for thoughtful feedback and comments. So, what a great meeting. I thought it was one of my favorites anyway. I've been here now 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. And I thought there was great energy, there was great participation, new membership. Anytime we get new ideas and new voices in a Toastmaster meeting, that's fantastic. Hopefully, we also helped to dispel some of the stigmas associated with superstitions, with routines, right? That the science shows that these can actually drive benefits from a performance perspective. And that those are, if you use those kinds of devices as you prepare for speeches and for other public events or things that are important for you, that you should feel confident using those. If they help you, again, find focus and balance and purpose, then great, use them. And going back to Shoeless Joe Jackson, I have one other lesson for us today. So Shoeless Joe had his own little lucky habit, which was he would stick bobby pins in his back pocket when he would get ready to step into the batter's box. But what Shoeless Joe did was whenever he would hit a hitting slump, he would get rid of those bobby pins and get new bobby pins and start his own new luck. So that's what I encourage all of you to do, right? If things don't go to plan, even after you've gone through your ritual and gone through your habit, it still doesn't turn quite out like you would hope. Make your own new luck, start over, get back into that batter's box. All right, with that, I will conclude our meeting and hand it back to our president.
All right, thank you. That was a great Toastmaster of the night. It was his first time doing it. Now, he mentioned, and this is mostly for the guests and for the newer members, he's been here for 6 or 7 weeks. And the reason he came here is he was at work and he had a bad presentation and it went bad. And a couple of days later, he came here and he joined Toastmasters. So after tonight, do you think if you were to do that presentation over again that you did badly at, you would do better today?
Yeah, absolutely better, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
Okay, so it has helped you in 6 or 7 weeks. Oh yeah, perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, thanks. All right, now we have not been doing the ballot counter, but starting next week we're going to, because there's obviously a lot of people. We used to do it, the polling, but then the polling would show up here. We just haven't gotten into it. So next week I will be the ballot counter where we can start actually doing them. And obviously I'm going to have to do the presidential decision-making on the winners for tonight. And it turns out to be pretty easy because our best speakers, there would happen to be one on Zoom. So that goes to Bailey, if I can find her thing. I have so many things here. Best speaker on Zoom goes to Bailey. Congratulations. And best speaker in person goes to Ali. Ali, you want to come up and get? Great job. Thanks. I don't think that's your first. 20th? Okay, perfect. And Elvinus and I don't get an award as evaluators because he went over and I went under, and it evened itself out. So that was fine anyways. And let me see our best table topics, but you're not going to believe this. It's happened again, but we had a 5-way tie for best table topics. And we're going to start with Rama as a guest. Want to come and get your best table topics? Appreciate it. Okay, come up and wave to everybody. Thanks. Thank you much for participating. Lynn, another guest. Want to come up? Also another winner. They're participation awards. If you want it. Thank you. Thanks for participating. And we have the great Harvey. Harvey, thank you for table topics. Look forward to you coming back and giving us more stories. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. And finally, Eric. Eric gets 2 of them. Eric is our newest member of the club, and he gets a new member and table topics. So congratulations and welcome to the club. Appreciate it. And want to see if I am forgetting anything else. And with that, we're going to go to our guests and kind of get some feedback. We're going to start with Brittany, who is online. As you can see, it's a little different. Are you in Charlotte? Because it's a little different on Zoom than in person. So hopefully next time, if you come back, you can come in person. But any thoughts about the meeting tonight?
Yeah, I thought, well, first of all, I am in Charlotte, right here in Plaza Midwood. So I would love to join next week in person if I can. But I thought this was great. I was curious to see how it all goes down. I had watched kind of the instructional video, which was helpful, but it's hard to visualize how all the moving pieces come together. So I really enjoyed it. I thought everybody's stories were really engaging, and so I look forward to hearing more.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for coming. And hopefully we'll see you here in the future. And due to time, I'm just going to go around to our guests real quick and ask their feedback. Rama, what do you think of the meeting? I think it was your first one on Toastmasters. Yeah.
This was really interesting. I was anticipating this, so it really fulfilled my my anticipation. It's really interesting, and I have lots of comments, but I would take a long time for that. So it's a great meeting, and I love this, and I'll become a member, and looking forward to come to future ones.
Appreciate it. And Lynn, another table topics winner. Any thoughts of tonight's meeting?
I'll keep my comments brief. It was so good. I'm coming back next week.
Sounds great. And Harvey, any thoughts from you? It's been a while since you've been here. Any changes?
First of all, a lot of changes, and I'm so impressed that almost 2 years ago I told my story and you still remembered. I held Helen hand, and I would feel so shaken during our wedding, and I feel so honored, so happy to be here with you all. And speech is one of the most important things that it will significantly help you in the corporate world, in wherever you do. Just take on the new challenges. And when you remember when I was first here, I could not even talk. And but just do it. Just go ahead and do it, and make a big impact in your life. And I'm so feel so honored and blessed to be here, to learning from you all, to have an opportunity to practice as well. Phenomenal session. Thank you.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. And thanks for everybody coming tonight. It's nice to have everybody in person. It makes the meeting a lot nicer. And with that, do we have any officer announcements? Elvis, anything from you? Any thoughts?
No, just thanks to everyone for participating tonight, and for the new members that have not selected their pathways, please reach out to me if you need any help in getting initiated with pathways, which is the learning curriculum, the learning process that we follow at Toastmasters.
Perfect. And I always forget about Eric. Eric, I always assume he's a member, but he's actually a guest. He's from AM Lockport, New York, which is my dual club. They're on Zoom and in person, and they meet Thursday mornings at 7 o'clock. And I'm sure Eric might have an announcement about Thursday's meeting. But Eric, any thoughts from you?
Oh, thank you, David. Good to see everybody. It's been a long time. Been working mornings, back to school and everything, but everybody did a wonderful job. Love the stories. Table Topics was really creative, and I really enjoyed that so much. So kudos to everybody who shared stories tonight. I really do love that. And all in all, it's good to see you all, and great meeting as always. Thank you, David.
All right. Thanks for coming again. And with that, I'm going to close out the meeting since we're a little over. So good night, and hope to see you all again.